We don't do anything wholesale except for a couple of florists who I love dearly. So everything is retail. And we used to do farmers markets, which we love, but we just got tired of getting up at 3 in the morning and, having a rainy day. So we do weddings, but we have slowed down. One summer we did 42 weddings, but I was in my young 60s then, so it was easier. But we're still doing weddings. I think we have 11 or 12 this year, but they're smaller weddings where they pick them up here. There's a couple we're delivering because we love them dearly, but in general, they have to pick their flowers up here, and that works out well. We don't leave the farm. We got to a point and we said, and COVID helped with that, we said, we're just not leaving anymore. So we do farm tours here, we do workshops here, CSA pickups are here, we do take some to Reclaimed. And when we did the farmers market, that was before social media. That was 21 years ago. That's how long we've been doing this. And so I started sending out an email list. I had people sign up at the market and say, do you want to get, and so every Friday night after we did bouquets, I took pictures of the bouquets and sent them an email. And they'd come to the market and they'd go, I wasn't going to come, but I love the pictures you sent. And we had a group of over like 250 people. And that was our seed group. I hate to say this, but I love Instagram because I love to write and I love to take pictures. So we get people to follow us, and we have, we have like 16,000 people. But you don't need that many. You just need people who follow you who are local. So Instagram and Facebook are really our methods of selling. Then we started a blog this year because my flower farmer friend said, you have to do a blog, an email list. So we use MailChimp. We were sending it out once a month, but now that we're so busy, it's not getting out that often. But that's wonderful too, because that lets you know, MailChimp tells you this many people spent this much money because of the blog. And that's been really helpful. So that's given us people. We have someone coming to the workshop tonight who I don't know and saw us on the blog somehow. And if you register for anything, a farmer's, just even a farm tour, you are automatically logged in with MailChimp. So from them on, you're going to hear from me. You don't have to open it, but you're going to hear from me. So really, social media and word of mouth. When we were doing more weddings, every bride has 6 bridesmaids, and all of those bridesmaids are going to get married. And so, word of mouth really has been good for us.
We primarily sell at farmers markets. We find that model gives us a good retail value for what we're selling. Whereas like this cantaloupe here, if I sell it to a roadside stand, I would get $2 to $3. At a tailgate market, I'm going to get $8 to $9. So capturing that retail value for 60 to 70% of my market share of my gross sales gives me the ability to pay higher wages, whereas I would have to, and for the size of my farm, I would have to grow 2 or 3 acres of this cantaloupe to be able to justify selling it for $3. So I look for a 2/3 balance of retail to a 1/3 balance of wholesale, and that gives me the ability to have a sustainable farm.
The wholesale also gets our name out there.
Yeah.
So having more of our grain products around town, we can direct people of where to go and buy some of that grain if we don't want them out on the farm. And if people start seeing our farm name, Two Stones Farm and Mill, with different products at different locations, they can come to us more approachable just by having that recognition at 5 places instead of just the farmer's market.
A huge part of our success is community, and that's like not something that we necessarily have control or create, but like thinking back about it, it's like when we first started our CSA, community supported agriculture, I'd never lived here. You had lived here. You hadn't lived here for like over 10 years, 10, 15 years, something like that. Mm-hmm. And so most of our first CSA members were people who worked with Dylan's parents at the university. So we did our one CSA drop-off at the College of Education on ETSU's campus, because that was like, those were our customers, were everybody in that office, you know? And I mean, still to this day, I mean, those CSA members have been with us every year since then. And that first CSA, we sold it as a salad subscription because we didn't even have like a ton of produce or like a wide variety of produce. It was like greens and then things that kind of went on top of salads.
Yeah.
Well, and we didn't have, you know, like potatoes or like storage onions.
Yeah, we weren't leasing land or
that.
doing any of those kinds of crops. And another way that helped us grow is just going to the farmers market. We tried, you know, different, you know, 2 or 3, maybe even 4 farmers markets that first year just to get a feel for it. But that also allowed us to meet, you know, friends and other farmers and kind of connect that way and kind of get a idea of what people want and forming relationships that way. And then as we got more comfortable, that's when I started approaching restaurants too, where I felt like our production was high enough and consistent enough. I just would go to a restaurant that I thought would be interested and just take samples of what I had. And, you know, usually in the middle of the day when early, you know, between lunch and dinner where they're not that busy, and just see if I could meet with the chef. And so that's kind of how I reached out to restaurants, and they liked the quality. And, you know, it's a two-sided thing with chefs. Like, they have to be into fresh and local food too, as much as, you know, I wish people would be more into. But so yeah, that's how we started kind of easing into the restaurants too. And then that second year CSA, we started leasing land and kind of made it longer and more diverse type of CSA. But the word of mouth is really how we've been successful with the CSA, because people just say like, this is great. I, you know, been telling my friend and they want to join now, that kind of thing. So being consistent at the farmers market, meeting people, and then just kind of word of mouth is how we've been able to grow that. And then the restaurants have just been, you just kind of have to impress them with the quality and your knowledge and stuff. And if they have the resources, they're more than happy to buy things. So
COVID was like a big, scary unknown at the beginning of it, because the farmers markets were all saying they were closing at first. And, you know, we had some CSA member. I mean, we had a pretty robust CSA at that point, and so we knew we had that income. But then thankfully, Jonesborough Farmers Market moved their farmers market online, and so we ended up pre-selling all of what we would normally sell at the farmers market would be pre-sold online. So it was actually wonderful. It was like such a great year, you know, with all this uncertainty. And then our sales were actually better that year at the farmers market than they had been in the past. People seemed to really crave, you know, local food during that whole spell. And probably in part too, like the ability to kind of like get out and go pick it up at the farmers market, even though it was untraditional that year.
Yeah, it was like a drive-through.
It was a drive-through thing, but even the connection, you know, because I volunteered some too at the farmers market, and so even just like that little moment of connection of like getting your vegetables passed through the car window to you was something that it seemed like people were interested in, and we got a lot of new CSA members. I feel like that year, like people emailing us.
People think we here at Brookhaven we have it just plumb figured out. We don't. We're trying to figure stuff out every day. I can remember a time not long ago when me and my business partner were talking, and he said pretty much, Jake, we need to sell, we have all these eggs, we're swimming in eggs, we need to sell eggs, and we need to sell more meat, we need to sell more chicken. We have to support a lot of families, we have a lot of people counting on us, we have a lot of animals counting on us, and we got to sell more stuff. So I told my wife, I got in my truck and I said, I'm going to take off and go sell some products. She said, when are you going to be back? I said, well, when we can afford to pay for everything, we sold enough product. So I packed a bag and I took off driving. I was gone for 3 or 4 days, but we were able to secure, I just walked in every restaurant, every business I could, introduce myself, tell them what we were doing. And it was a really terrifying thing to get in your truck and have your wife and your little boy stand at the driveway and you take off driving and trying to go find customers to buy your products, because if you don't, you won't have a farm. And so it's high pressure. But I'm telling you, we've been extremely blessed. And I think the one thing to take away from this is when you don't know what to do, just do something. And every day, go 100 miles an hour, give your all. If you make mistakes, make them quick and fix them quick. But that was a really scary time for us as a family, as a farm. High pressure, high stress, but we just don't quit. And that's kind of the Brookhaven way. We're gritty and we're resilient, and we adapt, and we just go get things done. And sometimes we don't know how or when or what we're going to do, but if we just go and try to sell ourselves and sell our farm and sell our animals and give people the peace of mind of clean, healthy food. Hey, if you can find your avenues before you have the product, that's the number one way to go. But here's the thing. I'm 24 years old. I'm a kid that was fresh out of college, had a business partner, started this farm. I couldn't go and get the contracts unless I had the product. I walk into somebody's office and say, hey, I'm gonna bring you 5,000 dozen eggs a week. They laugh at me and go on. But if I roll in there with a 26-foot reefer truck, say, hey, I got 13,000 dozen in here. Do you want to buy them weekly? You know, if you have the product, it talks. And two, I didn't know how to do any of this. I mean, it was really expensive to learn. And I think that's the goal of that's why I'm so eager to help young farmers and other people, because I've made a lot of really expensive mistakes, and it's cost me a lot of money and time. And so I had to, and I didn't know how to do it. I mean, how do you know how to farm, thousands and thousands of chickens without farming thousands and thousands of chickens? Because the problems at raising 100 chickens a year and the problem at raising thousands of chickens a year are a lot different. Transporting feed, transporting eggs, washing, cartoning, transporting the eggs, it's different. So you can't use your Yeti cooler. You got to have a reefer truck. You got to have a commercial egg washer. You have to have people to help you, so you got to manage the people.
We sell our products at the farmers markets. So we're at Johnson City and Kingsport Farmers Market now. Also, we're at Pierre's Marketplace in Johnson City. And not all these places carry all of our products, but they carry a majority of them, and they know how to get in contact with us. Farmers Market, Pierre's Marketplace, Troyer's, Mountain View Market down in Limestone, Tennessee. We're at Natural Foods there in Johnson City. Through our online website, you can go on our website, place an order, and pick Performance Medicine as a pickup location. Every Tuesday night, I deliver all the products to Performance Medicine. This is milk, yogurt, beef liver pills, tallow, beef, chicken, pork, lamb, eggs, to all the performances, and then you come pick up your order anytime Wednesday they're open. Wholesale wise, we sell to the Blackthorn Club, their restaurant there in the Ridges, and then we got into selling eggs in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. So there's a good chance that if you eat an egg in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, we supply those eggs. And I think it was a really interesting time when we were able to get into that market, because as a lot of people know, here recently in 2025 and 2024, in 2024 and into 2025, the egg market just went crazy with the shortage of the bird flu. And so it elevated egg prices to an insane amount. And we were able to be competitive in that market, because everybody knows that a non-GMO pasture-raised egg is a little bit more than what you're going to buy from Walmart. But at that time, our eggs were about $50 cheaper a case, 15 dozen. Cisco, US Foods, was selling a case of eggs for $135. We were able to keep our prices the same and sell them for $80, and you buy in bulk. So we were saving all these big companies, $80 a case. And when they order 700 cases, 500 cases, that's a lot of money. And so we were able to build relationships with these big corporations and businesses in that time and show them some good faith. And then, good Lord willing, they still continue to buy from us and stick with us, even though the egg prices have dropped way below what our price is. But they understand quality. They understand great service. They understand working. When you have a problem, you can pick up the phone and call Jake and say, hey, why is this way? Or we need this shipment another day. And so just being able to be flexible has helped us a lot. So Pigeon Forge is a big outlet for us. We've also sell to organizations that make food boxes. There's places like Appalachian Harvest. There's some, when we did a lot of hurricane relief. So there was these organizations that were able to come in and buy our farm products. They have grants for buying farm products from local farmers and then giving that out at food pantries for people. And so that's been great. Here recently, we just started a 501c, a charity. It's called Brookhaven Charities or Brookhaven Cares Foundation. They're kind of sister companies. We have created a model where we go out and find funding from these bigger companies that want to support giving away free food. I don't want to make it sound like that, but we have structured our 501c a lot differently. So in order to receive free food, you have to do some type of service. So you have to go volunteer and serve your fellow man, serve people in the community, go do service projects, go volunteer at soup kitchens, go do a park cleanup, and in turn, for the amount of hours you work and you do your community service, you get free food. I just don't want to give people free, just give it, because I think that can be abused. But if you love your neighbor and you treat people the way you want to be treated, then you should be doing, in my opinion, we should all be doing those things anyway. So why not get some free food from it?
So I think the only real outlets that we have is market. Everything else has been sort of just, porch pickup or inviting folks into the space to, peek around, and we always send them home with a bunch of stuff. If we have to offload a bunch of stuff that we bring home from market, then we'll find other ways.
And there's some partnerships with a local restaurant that will drop stuff off when we have a lot of one certain crop, and that's been really helpful.
The Second Harvest Food Bank, we're taking food, and we were neck deep in it and had nowhere to take it or no one to sell it to. And we didn't know anybody except Rain Crow, and they definitely didn't need our produce.
And our market season hadn't started yet, so we were 100 pounds deep in radishes. What do we do with these? Yeah. So we got really friendly with the food bank, just donating things as often as they would be willing to take them.
Which was all the time, and it was awesome. I mean, because there was a month of us growing stuff that we had nowhere to take it, and that was huge.
That was literally just a cold call email sent out as soon as we realized we had a restaurant quantity of certain produce. Mm-hmm. That we just reached out to 2 or 3 different restaurants and mentioned hey, we moved into the space you previously bought from Rain Crow Farm. There's still food growing here. Would you be open to maybe purchasing some things that we have to offer throughout the season? Yeah,
that was big, and we definitely didn't think the stuff that we had was gonna be good enough, because this particular restaurant is pretty good. But yeah, he was stoked, and that was very helpful. I feel like we're sort of at, not a capacity, but I mean, the space that I bake out of is pretty limiting. I'm definitely not trying to venture too far away from just the markets. We have been selling some produce to a coffee shop in Jonesborough, which has been really good. But yeah, I think right between the one restaurant we sell to and the market, we're kind of good with it until we need to find another outlet.